After 2 decades steering the ship at Red Bull, Christian Horner has finally been ousted in a dramatic internal battle. The news of the team's principal being axed has sent shockwaves through the Formula One community, sparking widespread chaos among rival teams. With Red Bull seemingly in shambles, questions loom about the future of the renowned Austrian team. Will they undergo a significant overhaul? Horner, not one to stand still, seems to have his sights set on a position at Ferrari, a team in dire need of reformation. The Italian squad's struggles under their current leadership have been evident, and Horner's potential move could signal a new dawn. However, it's uncertain if this change will persuade Wigner and Elkin to shift their strategy with Vasseur at the helm. In the aftermath of this upheaval, Laurent Mekies has stepped into Horner's shoes at Red Bull. Meanwhile, Ferrari has reportedly reached out to Horner. However, the British former principal made a bold statement, insisting that he wouldn't budge from Red Bull due to his lack of Italian language skills. The racing world eagerly awaits to see if these developments will lead to significant change or if the status quo will prevail. Strictly speaking, it's accurate. He doesn't speak Italian, and he wasn't the one who walked away from Red Bull. He was pushed out. So all the narratives we've created around Horner are sinking fast, and it's time for a fresh start. Vasseur has had a tough time consistently delivering strong results for the team. Once a contender expected to challenge McLaren at the front, they've faded to mediocrity. Despite some podium finishes here and there, and Hamilton nearly clinching one at Silverstone, being outraced twice by Hülkenberg in 2025 simply isn't good enough. Wigner and Elkin expressed their intention to stick with Vasseur at least until 2026, but with Horner now on the market, it's hard to imagine them not jumping at the chance to offer him a compelling deal. And why wouldn't they? Horner has left an undeniable mark on Red Bull, 4 championships with Vettel, overcoming a rough patch with Renault to succeed again with Honda, and last year's incredible championship win with Verstappen driving the 3rd fastest car, a feat not seen since the early 80s. But ultimately, Red Bull's environment just didn't suit Horner. Amid the uproar involving Jos Verstappen and Helmut Marko, when Verstappen's father publicly criticised Christian Horner, it was clear that trouble was brewing for the Red Bull racing leader. One compelling reason Horner might be eager to explore opportunities elsewhere is the mysterious nature of his departure from the team. Martin Brundle noted that the Red Bull ownership has not provided a clear explanation for stripping Horner of his responsibilities. Brundle described the news as shocking and unexpected, sharing his personal disappointment. He regards Horner as a friend and admired his remarkable 2-decade-long tenure. However, rumours and uneasy vibes had been circling the Formula One scene, hinting at internal team issues. Members of Verstappen's team claimed they were unaware of Horner's exit, only learning of it through Red Bull's official channels. They expressed their commitment to focusing on racing and improving performance, while calling on Red Bull to explain their decision. In essence, nothing really changes. Did Red Bull lose faith in him and his ability to make a comeback? Perhaps. But let's not forget the main focus here. Max Verstappen, the 4-time world champion, has repeatedly indicated his reluctance to discuss his future at Red Bull, suggesting it's a done deal. However, with Horner's dismissal, this might no longer hold true. Remember what Horner endured over the past few years, the departures of Adrian Newey, Jonathan Wheatley and Will Courtney from the team, not to mention Rob Marshall, the brain behind McLaren's current success. Despite these exits, Horner's leadership remained unaffected. But when Max's future faced significant uncertainty, the team's owners swiftly took control. They might have held discussions with Max, his father Jos, and Helmut Marko, concluding that Horner might not be the right fit. This was something Jos had been cautioned about for quite some time. Discussing the situation, the father of the 4-time world champion shared his views on the ongoing drama. He noted that as long as Horner is in his current role, tensions are high and the team risks falling apart. Things can't continue like this. Something's got to give. Although Horner paints himself as the victim, he's really at the heart of the issues. Yet this could be a fresh opportunity for Horner. It seems inevitable that Ferrari will focus on the Brit, given his impressive track record, 8 drivers' championships and 6 as a constructor. Such achievements command attention. Additionally, Horner's tenure as team principal is longer than anyone else's except for Wolff. While Ferrari prefers to nurture talent from within, it's hard to imagine a better candidate than Horner. Certainly some discussions are necessary, and certain events might need to be erased from Horner and Red Bull's past. However, since Horner is stepping into a new role and setting, this shouldn't pose much of a problem. it seems we've concluded that Horner is set to join Ferrari, or at least he's making a strong effort to do so. What remains unclear is the fate of Verstappen and how his status as a four-time world champion impacts this situation. Two scenarios are possible. First, Max might have already moved to Mercedes, a fact well known within Red Bull's inner circle. As a result, they opted to part ways with Horner as they're keen on starting anew. They want to avoid repeating past errors with emerging talents like Lindblad or Hadjar, or any new driver stepping up if Max isn't around. It all probably begins with the team principle. We must remember Horner's leadership at Red Bull. He stood by his drivers through highs and lows, supporting even those who struggled until they regained their footing. Perhaps more crucially, Horner always aimed for flawless strategy execution, exactly what Ferrari desperately needs. Alternatively, one might argue that Max has thrown down the gauntlet to Red Bull. The situation is not unfolding as it should, and he's made it clear if Horner stays in charge, he's out. This drama is unfolding just before the summer break, a period when we expect a flood of updates on the futures of Max and George. Yet, there's no indication that Horner is losing his grip on the team, which certainly spices things up. If Red Bull ends up losing both Horner and Max, they might find themselves in major rebuilding mode and likely struggling to stay competitive once the new rules come into play without Max's talents. However, it seems more reasonable for Max Verstappen to want to stick around and try to resolve the issues stemming from Horner's management. After all, can you blame him for wanting a change? The outcomes have been disappointing, the new developments aren't delivering, and the technical crew from Balbo and Oisray seems out of fresh ideas. Max is justified in demanding a shake-up. He understands his value, and that's undeniable. If Horner gets the axe because of Max's influence, it would clearly show who truly calls the shots in the team. Moreover, it's well known that Verstappen is highly favoured by Mercedes. Even though their board has to approve any moves, news is surfacing from Ola Källenius, the CEO of Mercedes, stating they've received the go-ahead to pursue Verstappen. Just before Horner got the axe, a third theory might have been swirling in Red Bull's mind. What if they cut Horner loose just to show Max they're ready to do anything to keep him around? However, this might backfire since Max isn't interested in racing for a team that seems overly eager. Regardless, imagine Horner steering both Leclerc and Hamilton at Ferrari. Such a move might not be too shabby. Under his watch, Red Bull has excelled in strategic maneuvers, precisely what Ferrari needs if they aim to snag those championship victories. Clearly, the drivers aren't the issue. With all this considered, what's your take on Horner potentially jumping ship to Ferrari? And perhaps more intriguingly, where do you think Horner might land come 2026? Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below. See you in the next video.